So Marley's ghost, the first of the ghosts, introduced again through sound. Just like on a different way, in a different way, we had Fred introduced by sound. We have the bells, obviously, has just been going off, the supernatural element there. We have the sound of the chain coming in there. We have the cellar door flying open with a booming sound, and he hears those noises on the floors below. He hears the noise coming up the stairs, coming towards the door. His colour changes, so there is some kind of impact. But in comes Marley's ghost. We get the description of him. The description of ghosts are always very, very significant in this book. I think the main thing that we'll look at, apart from the fact here that it clearly is Marley, as he was in life, is this chain, which is made up, as it says here, of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. Many people remember the chain, but do they remember the idea that it is made up of things to do with physical money, cash boxes, ledgers, deeds? It is the physical money that is weighing Marley down and will be weighing Scrooge down, as though it's the collection and gathering of money that creates the weight they've got to drag through life. Yet notice he's got death cold eyes, and he's got this thing wrapped around his head as if suggesting it's holding him together. However, Scrooge, when he first replies to the ghost, is described as caustic and cold as ever, as though it's having no impact on him. Now, I don't think that's true, but it certainly is the way Scrooge wants to appear. They start a conversation. Scrooge says he doesn't believe in him. He goes to this point where he makes this almost joke to him that actually it might just be that he's hallucinating him because he's eaten something dodgy. But then it follows up. The narrator tells us that basically the truth is he's trying to be smart as a means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his terror, for the voice disturbed the very marrow in his bones. So what he's actually doing is trying to hide his fear. So he's feeling fear, but at this stage he's trying to hide it. He's trying to keep it on the inside and keep this idea of the outside. He carries it on, talks about the idea that basically swallowing a toothpick will mean that he'll be hallucinating all kinds of things forever. This doesn't work much with the spirit, and then comes the key moment. The moment at which Scrooge is forced to believe. It's when this bandage that's wrapped around his head as if holding it together is taken off, and his jaw drops down to its chest. A horror moment, a physical, a visual horror that we're seeing here. And again, like a disciple in the famous story of Jesus coming back to life, what we're seeing is Scrooge doesn't believe until he sees. But when he does, he falls on his knees as though he is begging for mercy, as though he is praying for mercy. Important thing there, supplicating, as we call it, putting himself down. The discussion continues. The ghost explains how he's got to wander all over the place. Important to notice when he talks about the chain that he makes the point that it was his own free will by which he girded it. Obviously he didn't know he was doing that, but there is a choice, is the point. You do not have to weigh this. And then he points out how heavy and long Scrooge's will be by now. Scrooge, now believing him and believing who he is, wants comfort. And that's the thing he's looking for at this stage. It's not change. He wants to feel comfort. But of course, Marley can't give it to him. And we get this little bit here where he points out the horror of his life, using this anaphora, the repetition of I cannot, I cannot, I cannot, to basically emphasize the torment he is under. I can't rest, I can't stay, I can't linger. This kind of thing is carried on by the idea that he can't stop moving, which he describes incessant torture of remorse. Remember, that suggests that the worst pain that you can suffer is not physical pain, it is remorse. Remorse, feeling guilt and bad for what you've done. As we carried on, the ghost, Scrooge tries to defend him by saying he was a good man of business, and he sums up that mankind was my business. This is the idea again. He sees the reality that people are more important than money, just like the Fred Scrooge exchange we were talking about earlier. As it carries on, he basically reveals that this is down to him, this chance is down to him. He is trying to redeem Scrooge himself because of what he's done. So it's about redemption at this point, even calling him by the name Ebenezer at this point as though some familiarity. Tells him about the ghosts that are going to come and go to him, and then takes him to the window to show him an important bit here at the end, that outside the air is full of people like them wandering around. So we see the extent of the problem. We go through, and on as he carries on to look at them, the key for him is that he notices that the misery with all of these phantoms, who are all in the same situation as Marley is that they want to interfere for good in new matters and had lost the power forever. Seeing their wrongs, they want to redeem themselves, but they can't. So there's their worst torment. Last thing to notice of Stave 1 is, as it goes, he tries to be the old Scrooge and just go, humbug, what a load of rubbish. But he has to stop at the first syllable. Are these the first signs of change in him? Quite likely.